Good morning. Welcome to our Board of Supervisors hearing room. It is December 12th at 10 a.m. This is the time we've scheduled for our regular board meeting. We are at 1415 Melody Lane, Building G in the Board of Supervisors hearing room. Pursuant to ARS 38431.02H, the public will have physical access to the meeting place 15 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Any item on this agenda is open for discussion and possible action. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The order or deletion of any item on this agenda is subject to modification at the meeting. The board may vote to go into a recess into an executive session for the purpose of obtaining legal advice from the board's attorney on any matter listed on the agenda pursuant to ARS 38431.03A and 3. I'll begin with the roll call. District 1.
Crosby's here.
District 2. And I am Supervisor Judd, representing District 3. Members of the public may attend this meeting via Microsoft Teams computer or mobile app or via phone by calling 602-609-7513 or 888-680-6714, conference ID 921-439-576#. If you have trouble accessing this meeting remotely, call 520-432-9200 for direction. The board may permit public comment during the discussion of any item on the agenda. To speak on an agenda item or during call to the public, complete and return the speaker request form to the clerk of the board prior to the start of the meeting. Note that some attachments may be updated after the agenda is published. This means that some presentation materials displayed at the board meeting may differ slightly from the attached version. We begin every meeting with call to the public, and I do have several people signed up to speak today during call to the public. Our first speaker is Alfred Kern. I talked to the clerk, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
I don't handle that. Yes, Alfred, we have a new arrangement. Merry Christmas.
Okay. Well, my name's Alfred Kern. Been here before. And I gotta say, every other week, they're grading roads that have no homes on it and have no traffic on it. But yet, they leave my road with over 30 homes on it and do nothing. Now you could go you could go 6 months. Once every 6 months, grade the road. But you don't do that. You do nothing. It's time the county starts to do something. We pay our taxes. Over 30 homes back there are paying taxes. How much tax are you getting off of Cipriano? You're not getting any. How much tax are you getting off of Madrone? You're not getting any. How much tax are you getting off of San Mateo? You're not getting any. It's time you start paying attention. If I pay my taxes, but you know what? I pay it at the very end because I don't want my tax money going to people like you who do nothing. It's bad enough. It's bad enough that we have no services. But then when we have to pay for it, we pay for nothing. Is it time? Well, I know how many people out here have spoken? And have they received even a phone call about what they talked about? The election is coming up, and part of of their speaking is about the election process. Do something. At least make a phone call and tell them what you're doing. I have nothing else to say.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Allison Morse, and she's joining us on Teams. Allison?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Good morning. My name is Allison Morse, and I do thank you for this opportunity to speak today. I'd like to address a problem I've been having with transparency and availability of records in our county. Last fall, Recorder Stevens was awarded a $1 million grant to investigate a non-existent problem having to do with ballot paper. The grant was approved without proper paperwork, and Mr. Stevens spent over $187,500 of taxpayer money without board approval. He purchased a huge piece of equipment called a dandy roll and massive amounts of paper, 10 tons to be exact, plus 75,000, quote, parent sheets, end quote. Together, these items would cover several hundred cubic feet. I have contacted Mr. Stevens several times regarding the whereabouts of these items, but he has not answered me. I have also been in touch with the Deputy Recorder, the Cochise County Grant Administrator, the Procurement Department, and the County Treasurer, and no one has been able to answer the simple question, where are these items and what will become of them? Public records show an invoice from Runbeck in mid-January for $187,532.65 and a purchase order from Cochise County in mid-February for the same amount. The Arizona Department of Administration confirmed that these items belong to Cochise County, but it is quite surprising that no one can say where these items are, especially Recorder Stevens, who was awarded this grant and purchased the equipment and supplies himself. One can only speculate on the reasons for lack of knowledge and or transparency, but it does make citizens and taxpayers concerned when no one can tell them where the purchased goods are. I'd like to request full disclosure of this matter from the Recorder Stevens. I believe he owes an explanation to me and to the citizens of Cochise County. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. The next speaker is Redford Hyde. He also is joining us on Teams.
Hello. I'll be here.
Hi, good morning.
Someone is not, Radford, can you wait a minute? Someone is not muted. Someone who's on the computer is not muted. Okay, I hear silence now. Radford, it's time for you.
Thank you. My name is Radford Hyde from Sierra Vista. I have worked professionally for over 30 years in IT and cybersecurity, and I have previously been a Chief Information Security Officer for a major U.S. government and DoD contractor. Do not approve the voting centers. Here's why. Precincts have books with a list of registered voters who they expect will come to their location. Registered voters would show up, and if their name was in the book, they can vote, unless they had already signed the book, which would be clear. Voting centers changed this. Anyone who is a registered voter can vote at any county voting center. How do vote centers know who voted and who hasn't? I urge everyone to open their minds to the actual facts. Please listen closely. Each site has ES&S Express Poll tablet machines for checking in voters. They connect to Wi-Fi routers. The routers have internet connections back to the election headquarters database. Every time a person checks in, the Express Poll tablet uses this Wi-Fi connection and internet connection to check this database to see if that person has or has not voted before. If they have not voted before, the Express Poll tells the database over the internet they are voting now. If they have already voted, they will be disallowed from casting a regular ballot. Do not believe the lies that these systems are not connected to the internet. Of course they are. Forget the lies that you have been told that the system in use has been certified. You are using a system that was not properly, quote unquote, certified. The ES&S 6.0.4.0 has to be certified in whole. Any changes to the asset list of the certified system requires recertification. The express pull tablets and the Wi-Fi and internet routers are not in the asset list of the quote-unquote certified system, which Corey Lorick even provided before, which means they're not to be used. Also, the changes to this quote-unquote certified system were never approved by or even reviewed by the Secretary of State Equipment Certification Advisory Board as required. Lisa Mara, ex-elections director, just introduced them into the election system without the required approvals and recertification. This cannot be allowed to stand, and I applaud Supervisors Crosby and Judd for seeing right through the facade of lies, and I urge people everywhere to support their defense, spiritually as well as financially. Thank you both for standing in truth and helping demolish the house of cards. Nobody should be forced to certify an election when they know the system to be faulty.
Bradford,
the world is
that's
still watching.
the end
Thank
of
you.
your time. Thank you. Our next speaker is Tricia Gerardette, and she's also on Teams.
Good morning, Supervisors. Tricia Gerardette, Sierra Vista. The previous speaker actually might be a person I talked with at an event, and I heard his concerns about use of Wi-Fi. And I checked with the system and the various people and got an answer of information that was new to me. And so I'm going to share that quickly ahead of my other comments. And that is that those tablets that check whether you voted at another location are connected via a system new to me called a MiFi. They're not connected via Wi-Fi and the general internet. And they are believed to be secure. They are not like Wi-Fi. So maybe that will help answer some of people's concerns. As I said, it was new to me, and I found it interesting and useful. On a personal level, I want to say that I'm sorry both Supervisor Judd and Supervisor Crosby didn't get support from the attorneys who promised them the pro bono representation for their stands on refusing to certify the results of our elections last year. And at the moment, there are a ways to go on your fundraising efforts to now have to hire attorneys to defend you. But I do have to say at a taxpayer level, I'm glad we don't have to fund any more or too much more legal action on last year's elections. I certainly hope there won't be trouble certifying the elections in 2024. We've already lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in 2023 as a result of election security denialism. And I have registered a comment in support of the vote centers. I'm curious as to where those hundreds of thousands in expenses have been charged. And I'm wondering if I can or should check with the county administrator to get an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kathy Hargrove. Yes, thank you. Please state your name and where you're from, your address.
Wilcox, Arizona. And I came to let you know today about the lithium mine on the playa.
Can you speak into the microphone?
Sorry.
Thank you.
I came to let you know about the lithium mine on the playa. They have started exploratory drilling. It's on the BLM land, but there are claims on the public land of just the playa, right off of Kansas settlement. And they've been doing that since May. They are wanting to get full-blown permission to drill completely for the lithium, which isn't good for us, the animals, or anything else, our wells, since we have a water shortage going on. This is right out near the Cochise Lake area where all the sandhill cranes are. And there's 14 vineyards out there. And they are going to be using hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, bringing up fossil fuels, which emit into the air as carbon dioxide, causing irritation to your throat and lungs. They said also could cause death. The mines will cause erosion, massive water shortages, and of course environmental impacts that are going to last for a very long time. They will be using about 500,000 gallons of water per metric ton. It's an awful lot of water. And it's going to go in our food, the animals' food, all the things we eat, the animals, the eggs, the chickens, the vegetables. And it's not a good thing to have. I mean, you know, what about the visitors? They're not going to want to come. We're not going to be able to give our land away. They aren't going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. This is not acceptable for them to be here, right in the midst of people. They're right behind family farms. They're down the road from me. I mean, this is not acceptable to have this kind of stuff around here. It's going to kill off the animals. They have brine ponds that will be being made, and if those sand cranes get in there, they're going to die. Not to mention the people around, the noise, the, you know, irritation of the pollution in the air and in our water. We already have enough issues with our water right now, you know. So I'm asking if you guys can help and try to get them out of here. They have not received permits or anything else yet.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Kara Harris. She's on Teams. Kara. Check and make sure you're unmuted. We don't hear you. Okay.
Am I unmuted now?
Great. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ms. Judd. My name is Kara Harris. I live in Whetstone. I don't live in Wilcox, but I'm here to talk about the destruction of the Wilcox Playa. Thank you for letting me speak today. I'm addressing the destruction of the Wilcox Playa. First, it was all the solar benefiting Cochise County, not at all. All the electricity taken from the destruction of the playa goes to El Paso and Tucson. We, the people of Cochise County and Wilcox in particular, get zero from this raping of our environment. Oh, wait, they will see the destruction of the natural habitats of their animal population. Goodbye, sandhill cranes. It's been nice knowing you and the benefits from the tourism. Before I talk lithium, I want to remind you all of the dry wells the out-of-state dairies have brought us. We benefit not at all from them either, as they pump water from wells, from well levels no farmer or regular citizens can afford to drill. Once again, Cochise County is screwed by greedy and different politicians lining their own pockets. Lithium mining will make dairy farming, water stealing look like child's play. Not only will these mines steal far more of our precious resources, they will poison the ground they leave barren with the recharging of their waste. Once again, bye-bye sandhill cranes and the beauty of the playa that has graced Cochise County with tourism dollars. It will be the annihilation of Wilcox. Goodbye, residents of Wilcox, who will be poisoned by this process. Think, people, where the heck are the environmentalists to object to this travesty? They are silent. Be aware, we will return to the next board meeting with more facts to help you understand you must intercede for your constituency. Open your eyes. And by the way, before I sign off, please grade Mr. Kern's road. The poor guy needs his road graded. What is the matter with your transportation department or whoever maintenance is supposed to be doing this? Mr. Kern deserves his road graded. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sandy Troll.
Hello, Sandy Troll from Sierra Vista. I want to talk about elections. Our elections are unconstitutional. Third parties are not to be involved. Ballots shall not be counted in secret. You vote in secret, but they're counted in public. Corporations interfere with chain of custody, machines, and processes. Elections are to be one day. You can't beat the existing election system. The only option is to ban the machines now. The entire election system is fundamentally designed to control the outcomes, and we the people are not included in those outcomes. Election maladministration with the voting machines, tabulators, e-poll books, third parties, are all helping to destroy your sacred right to choose your representatives through your vote. The board needs to reestablish the 55 precincts, remove third-party voting technology, ban the machines, and we also do not consent to mass mail-in ballots with no chain of custody or voter ID. And I have a quote, "Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all." Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Joanna L. Seeley.
Joanna Seeley from Pierce. Supervisors, good morning. It is a pleasure to speak with you today. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my statement. Even though the main reason for my speaking today is regarding the Wilcox Playa versus Max Power Mining Corp. From Canada, I wish to bring forth the Cochise County Comprehensive Plan, which was adopted in 1984. With amendments in 1992, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2006, 2011, and 2015 with a readoption. According to this Arizona state required document, this mining operation would be illegal in Cochise County, so it needs to be stopped sooner than later. Article 1.102.2 states, development should occur in a manner that preserves open space, agriculture and ranching resources, and existing historical sites, which may include wildlife corridors, hydrologic recharge areas, plain fields, floodplains, geologic features, historic, archaeological and cultural resources, or, if I can pronounce this right, arable soils. It does not mention anywhere in this document open mining, which will create hazardous, unsafe health issues, which will destroy wildlife habitat, recreation areas, natural flood reservoir, and deplete the Wilcox Sulphur Springs aquifers, also known as the Wilcox Basin. With a 3-minute speaking limit and my inability to speak when nervous, I'm sorry, I will let you members of the Cochise County Supervisors read for yourselves this document, which can be found at your website, www.cochise.az.gov.document center. I thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Respectfully.
Thank you. Okay, we have one remaining speaker. It's Johnny Lee Wilson, sorry, Senior. Thank you.
Johnny Lee Wilson, Sierra Vista, Arizona. I come in support of Tom and Peggy today. And I guess you missed me. I haven't been here for a while. I'll tell you a short story, and it's not to make you feel sorry for me or anything else, but I've been diagnosed with a form of cancer that's rare. So I don't know. It can be terminal. Maybe I don't think it's going to be, so I might not be back again. But anyway, I stand in support of you. Chris Mays got elected by 280 votes. There's still 9,000 unaccounted votes out there. So how could she even have the right to sue you guys? I don't understand that. Our government gets so damn crooked. I mean, like this lithium mine or whatever, all this stuff they want to do, that stuff's bad for us. They do it in Canada and nothing lives around that mine. And I agree with what Sandy Troll says. Ditto, you know. We need to get rid of these voting machines. When people say they're not certified, I don't care if they're certified or not. They do exactly what they're programmed to do. Why won't they let us look at the algorithm and I'm not technical, but look at what they do. You know, you watch them, you sit there and watch TV and you watch the votes get changed. I'm sure everybody's seen it. And I don't know why the county is not supporting you guys. You know, I don't understand this stuff. I mean, I love my country. That's the reason I'm here in person today. My oncologist told me, she said, don't go out in public. Well, I'm here today because I want to be here to tell you how much I love the country. And Peggy, you know what CTR stands for. Choose the right. So let that sink in. And again, I say, like I said before, all I want you to do is follow the Constitution and don't lie to me. Just do what you got to do. Go and grade this guy's road right here. I mean, take part of what you built this with. I don't know why this is here, but anyway, I mean, I love my country. I love you guys. I love everybody here. So I want to live in the free country. There's 5,000 people every day coming across that border because of our crooked administration in D.C. And now they want to give more money to Ukraine and everywhere else. Save our people. They even tried in Sierra Vista. They wanted to home the illegals. And a bunch of people got together. I didn't go, but a bunch of people got together and shut it down. It's our country. If our country's so bad, why are so many people coming here? Really, think about it. Anyway, that's all I got to say. And I got to go because I got to go to a treatment. See you later.
Thank you. Okay, our next item on the agenda is consent agenda items 1 through 8.
Madam Chair, point of order.
Okay.
I request to remove item 6 from the consent agenda.
Okay. So if someone can make a motion omitting item number 6, I'll approve of that.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve items 1 through 5 and 7 and 8 of the consent agenda, and I would like to speak on number 6 separately.
We will have number 6 following this consent agenda. If we can get a second and a approval on the others. It doesn't appear that that's happening. I'm going to let it go, and
I'd like to make a motion that we approve items 1 through 8 on the consent agenda.
we're also not. Oh, I can second that. And I do kind of understand what's going on, but I would like that to be just taken care of with our attorneys and those people that need to handle that in private. So I'll second the items 1 through 8. Okay. If there's no discussion on that. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed. And
Abstain.
okay, and the chair votes aye. The motion carries 2 with 1 abstaining. Okay. Public hearings are next. I'm going to bring up, no, item number 9, if we could have a motion.
Madam Chair, I move we approve uniform video service license agreement for Allo, Arizona LLC, effective December 12th, 2023 through December 12th, 2033.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Correa is going to speak on this, and while he's coming up, I'm going to open a public hearing on that item. So public hearing is now open on item 9.
Morning, Supervisors. Merry Christmas. This is an application for a uniform video service license agreement. So this is a company called Allo. They're out of Nebraska. Hear me? Okay. Is that better?
No.
No, it's not on.
It doesn't seem to be on because you know that noise.
Tapping, I guess. Tapping. Much closer. Better? Closer still. I feel like an old-time radio host. Anyhow, so Allo provides video services, internet, and fiber optic stuff in Nebraska, Colorado, and Arizona, mostly to like rural communities. They've got an application under a statute that requires this. This looks like a franchise agreement. It's not. There was a statute enacted in 2019. We adopted a policy because we're required to. So now they submit an application, pay a license fee, and they also pay us like out of their revenue a little bit. So that's all like in the material that was submitted. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. So I don't know what a video service is. It like television service, like
So
Cox?
Cox is now they applied for the same video service license agreement as soon as the statute came out. We made an ordinance in 2020. Sparklight did the same thing. So Allo is going to provide a similar type of service.
Okay.
They've got access to fiber optic probably.
All right. I just didn't understand what that was. What kind of video are they allowed to do and where? Okay.
Like what they call streaming?
It is going to be, I think, streaming, yeah.
Where will this video service be utilized?
So there's an attachment to their application that shows the whole map of the area, and it pretty much covers most of Cochise County.
I see.
Yeah. I think it pretty much overlaps Cox and Sparklight.
I see.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? So the public hearing remains open. Is there anyone who would like to speak on item number 9? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And no other discussion? Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
We have another public hearing to open. Developmental Services, item number 10, if we could have a motion, and I open the public hearing.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt zoning ordinance 2322 and approve docket RZ 23-21, Bowie Power Plant to revert zoning for parcel 301-04-033G from HI, heavy industry, to RU4, rural. Minimum lot size 4 acres pursuant to a county-initiated request.
Second.
We have a motion in a second. Mr. Coxworth.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. I don't have a presentation for this one. I do have a presentation for the next 2 items. This is a reversion to acreage of about 260 acres north of Bowie that was rezoned in 2002 from RU4 to HI. This was in concurrence with a special use permit to construct a power plant. The applicant has submitted a letter thereby canceling the project and no longer needing the special use permit and the HI zoning. So staff is here to ask that the Board of Supervisors revert the zoning back to RU4, and obviously staff does recommend approval.
Who owns the property?
It is a LLC out of Phoenix. I think it's the Bowie Power Plant LLC.
Okay.
I want to. It's probably not exact, but that's just from memory. But they still, as far as I know, they still own it. We did send them a letter explaining. They probably probably weren't very surprised by the letter that we were going to put this forward before you today, and we have not heard a response.
Well, the reason for this special is gone. So we need to revert it back so that it's usable property.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any questions or discussion?
It's public hearing.
Oh, it's still a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on that, online or otherwise? I don't hear anyone, so I'm going to close this public hearing and call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye and the motion carries unanimously. All right, so item number 11, if we could have a motion.
Madam Chair, I move we adopt zoning ordinance 23-23 to revert the zoning from SR 87 single family residential, one dwelling per 87,000 square feet to RU4 rural minimum lot size 4 acres on parcels 124-01-013K and 124-01-013L pursuant to a county initiated request.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. This item's up for discussion. There's another public hearing I'm going to open now, and then we'll listen to Mr. Coxworth and then take any comments from the public.
Again, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is another reversion to acreage of about 555 acres located west of Benson. This property was rezoned in 2011 from RU4 to SR 87. There was a requirement of a subdivision plat. This subdivision plat, tentative plat, did result in a lawsuit with the county, which I cannot speak to. However, that did result in a settlement agreement with the applicant. The condition that was in your memorandum was that they complete construction of improvements within 10 years. That settlement agreement did kick that out another 5 years, so we're within that 5 years. However, after the settlement agreement required that the applicant within 245 days of the Board of Supervisors approval of the tentative plat shall submit phase 1 final plat that's in conformance with the tentative plat, and that has not yet happened. That has not happened. We did mail a letter to the property owner, again, letting them know that staff was going to present this to the Board of Supervisors today, and we have not heard back. The plat has essentially been silent. I don't know why exactly. But again, we mailed them a letter, and they did not respond to that letter. So staff is requesting that the Board of Supervisors revert that zoning back to RU4.
So I have another question. When you mail these letters, do you use certified mail and somebody got it? I mean,
typically no. For these, we do not. They didn't get mailed back to us. In this instance, there's two property owners. One was Pioneer Title, the smaller piece, and then the larger piece was the owner of the property. We mailed to both. Again, we have not heard.
I remember this being one of great controversy. Travel to the mountain, that was the corridor to the mountain and stuff. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, having no one, having been in touch with them at that time and having no one respond. So
it doesn't seem to present any harm.
Yeah, the rezoning isn't going to hurt anything, I guess. All right. Well,
Excuse me, I had the same concern as you, Madam Chair, about a receipt of the county notice by the owner, which we can't really say that we legally have received.
Supervisor Crosby, that is correct. Again, we have not heard from the applicant. We did not mail a certified letter. Maybe going forward, that would be good practice to take note. Regardless, they have not met the conditions of the rezoning nor the conditions of the settlement agreement that they signed as the Board of Supervisors signed.
So the only harm to them would be if they were to go forward is to approach you, resubmit their subdivision, get all that work done that they should have gotten done. And then I guess it's kind of redundant, but we could zone back to what they prefer if they meet the qualifications and do their work. Okay.
Well, the bottom line is the court said that there were requirements and they have not.
They didn't meet them. Okay. All right. That was a good discussion. I'm going to call for any people who would like to comment on this from the public. Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And all those, is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 The chair votes aye and the motion carries unanimously. Item number 12, we could have a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt zoning ordinance 2324 to revert the zoning from MR1 multifamily residential to R9 residential one dwelling per 9 acres on parcel 105-71-139F pursuant to a county initiated request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. This is also a public hearing, so before we hear the explanation, I'm going to open the public hearing. So, okay, Mr. Coxworth, we're ready.
Thank you again. You're probably wondering why we're seeing these 3 reversions. We are still in the process of digitizing our records and coming across rezoning letters, looking at conditions, seeing if they have been met or not, and whether staff needs to initiate these reversions. This is a good example of a property that was rezoned in 2011. It's not very large. It's only 13,900 square feet located in Naco. The property was rezoned from R9 to MR1 with the condition that the owner place a manufactured home on the property within 1 year. So it has been over 10 years. The owner of the property no longer lives there. Ms. Ruiz does live now in California. Ms. Ruiz, we did mail a letter to Ms. Ruiz and she did respond. She requested a 6-month delay. We have provided that 6 month. I sent her another letter. She requested another 4 weeks. I explained that it's been well over 10 years in order to meet this condition. So we have made an attempt to work with the applicant, or excuse me, the property owner. The county is the applicant. This is somewhat of a spot zoning, and I'm sorry, I haven't even gone through my presentations. I can advance it to the next slide, please. The next one, please. So location of the rezoning there in Naco, it is surrounded by R9. I'm not sure if Ms. Ruiz is here today. I did have conversations with her. I did have conversations also with her sons. They do have some other concerns with the property and the property lines that I have offered to help them see through. But nonetheless, I believe this condition was placed on there to allow Ms. Ruiz to have a relative live on the property with her, and she doesn't even live there anymore. So staff is requesting that this property be reverted back to the R9 zone.
Okay. There's still a public, are there any questions for Mr. Coxworth to clear that up?
Not at this time.
Okay. There's still a public hearing open. Is there anyone, including the Riz family, if there's anyone that would like to speak online or in the audience? We have that available right now. Okay, hearing none, the public hearing is closed. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 The chair votes aye and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Coxworth. Our next section is the action items on the agenda, item number 13.
Madam Chair, I move that we remove item 13 from the table from November 28th.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to remove the item from the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye and the motion carries. Our speaker is Nilsa Flores. Before she gets started, I'm going to say we have one person that signed in support of this item and they're not speaking. Okay, Nilsa.
Good morning.
Should I put a motion on the floor?
Oh, yes.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the appointment of Gary Ramaker, Elda Orduno, and Charles Price as countywide justices of the peace pro temporary, where no other elected justices of the peace are available or otherwise able to conduct a necessary hearing pursuant to ARS 22-121, effective November the 28th, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now we can hear the explanation. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and County Supervisors. We are seeking the approval of the appointment for Gary Raymaker, Alda Orduno, and Charles Price to aid with our weekend and holiday initial appearances for our county. In addition to that, for any coverage that may be required when a justice of the peace is not available. This reappointment does come to the board every year to seek the approval. And if we do not have any of the pro tempores, then we would have challenges with any coverage that may be needed for such hearings.
Are these, you have other pro tempores, right?
We do. We currently have 4. One of the pro tempores is a justice of the precinct 5. So he is a temporary part-time, and the other 3 serve on the weekend. And these 3 would just add to that rotation, so we're not overloading the 3 that we currently have and covering every weekend and holiday. So it would give us an ability to add more to our schedule.
All right.
I have comment.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Flores, and I'm very much in favor of reducing the backlog of our court, which I know exists, and I'm very concerned about that. If this item, in my opinion, is set up to be mistaken for an election or a contest, which it isn't, and also, in my humble opinion, it would be preferable in the future to be presented one applicant at a time to avoid that impression. I also have expressed my view that such a process or an interview process, which I am in favor of, should be part of a system of checks and balances for the county. That's why I'm in favor of interview for these individuals.
Was there sort of an interview by someone?
There was. We did form a committee, so anytime we do have to add to this list of the justices of the peace pro tempores due to someone retiring out, or someone not being reappointed, we do have a selection committee that is appointed by the presiding judge in Superior Court. This committee includes defense attorneys, members of the public. So there is a diverse panel. We do open a public recruitment for this position. So anyone who qualifies for this vacancy that is open may submit their interest and go through a hiring process. This is just one of the steps that to finalize and to select the finalist from the interview committee that the selection committee has put forth. So there is a full process that does take place from beginning to end.
I only know one of these people, so I can't make any personal statements, but I do know that I understand your process and I'm not hesitant to accept these personally. So see what the board would like to do.
I didn't understand what you said.
I'm not hesitant to accept them. I understand the process and I feel comfortable.
Okay, that's fine.
So
I'm not insistent about it, and I have great respect for Mr. Dickerson, and I'm sure everybody else on your committee is equally worthy of respect. However, I do want to repeat my concern for such an interview process would be part of a system of checks and balances. And so if you have the board, which is made of judicial branch members, we are not the judicial branch, and that's why I believe we should provide that system of checks and balances.
okay, thank you, Mr. Crosby. Is there any other comments?
No, I think they've gone
Questions?
through the process. It's been established for years, and appreciate that, and bringing it to us so that there'd be adding them to our system so that there can be payment for the jobs that are done.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Nilsa. And having no other comments, all those in favor say aye.
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 The chair votes aye and the motion carries unanimously. No. If you had a form filled out before the meeting, possibly. Okay, Mr. Maddox is next. It's item 14. If we could have should I do speakers first? I'm going to have you come sit in the seat and we'll do speakers. Okay, if you don't mind. Okay, we do have 14 people. Oh, wait,
Motion.
this is item 14. We can make the motion first. Let's do that.
Madam Chair, I move we adopt Resolution 23-27 to approve 18 vote centers for the 2024 presidential preference primary and general elections as listed in the attached exhibit, and authorize the elections director to make substitutions as necessary prior to each election in the event that a vote center replacement needs to be made in accordance with ARS 16-411.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We do have people signing up 17 people signed up in support of this item. 3 people signed up opposed to item 14, and they are not speaking, that group. There are some people signed up to speak, and I will start with that. James Cook is the first one. Is he in the audience?
Yes.
Oh, he's on Teams. There you
Yes,
are. Okay, James.
I'm on the phone.
Perfect.
My name is James Cook, and I live in Sierra Vista. I am speaking in favor of approving the vote centers resolution. This resolution would approve 18 vote centers. Based on the September 12th, 2023 agenda, it appears that failure to approve this resolution would require creating 55 precinct polling places. This would be substantially more costly than 18 vote centers. I estimate it would increase the cost of elections by a factor of 4 in order to accommodate additional staffing, election materials, equipment, and resolution of back-end counting issues on provisional ballots, in addition to ensuring ADA compliance at 55 locations instead of 18 locations. Vote centers are more convenient for people who like to vote in person. Cochise County is the 38th largest county in the country, and many people may have to be at work in a location that could be more than 100 miles from their home precinct on election day. Without vote centers, these people might have to choose between work and voting if they are far from their home precinct on election day. Vote centers have been successfully and economically used in Cochise County since 2015, and I personally want to see the use of vote centers continued. The security arguments I've heard are red herrings. There is no evidence of any significant voting fraud. I don't want my tax dollars and the tax dollars of every taxpayer in this county wasted because of false arguments. I am a Cochise County taxpayer and voter, and I in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is also on Teams, Allie Morse.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good morning. My name is Allison Morse from Portal, and I thank you again for this opportunity to speak in support of agenda item number 14. As you know, Cochise County vote centers have been used safely and securely since 2015. And contrary to some people's belief, our former elections director, Lisa Mara, did not come up with the model, nor did she originally put the vote centers in place. Vote centers are used by almost every single other county in Arizona because they are reliable, efficient, and the overwhelming majority of voters prefer vote centers. Not one of these counties have gone back to precinct polling places. Voting centers allow your constituents to vote when and where it's convenient for them, especially important for working people, college students, caregivers, etc. Utilizing 18 vote centers is also significantly more cost-effective than staffing, equipping, and supporting 55 precinct polling places, about 1/3 of the cost at least. The additional expense of adding 37 polling places has been estimated to be somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000. The county has already invested in the machines to allow vote center voting, and our elections department has completed the required inspections and federally mandated ADA assessments. The paperwork is done and contracts have been finalized. There is no need to place an undue burden on our recently restaffed elections department to triple the number of current polling places and change a system that has worked so well in the past. This issue is about the voters, all of them. At least it's supposed to be. Keep the current system of vote centers in place, please. It's what the voters want. It's what our elections department recommends, and it only makes good sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tricia Gerardet.
Good morning again, supervisors. Yes, Tricia Gerardet in Sierra Vista. I am indeed in favor of the vote centers, and I appreciate the update to the number that was requested by Supervisor Judd, and I hope that that allows her to feel better about vote centers. and I echo previous comments that these certainly make much more sense financially for the county than attempting to go back to precinct vote polling places. So please do vote in support of 18 vote centers for 2024. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kara L. Harris. She's on Teams.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name's Kara Harris. I live in Whetstone. I'm back again from the call to the public. Actually, I'm going to support Mr. Radford Hyde, who is an expert on computer systems and the hackability of them. Mr. Hyde shared that these systems are indeed hackable. We're not a bunch of hysterical conspiracy people. Our Constitution demands we be allowed to vote fairly. Voting centers open the doors to more fraud, utilizing machines that have been proven to have been hacked by foreign entities. Voting centers introduce more fraud as votes are not counted before they leave the polling place or centers, once again leading to a violation of our Constitution. When Mr. Crosby voted rightly against the machines, he's now facing prosecutorial retaliation. Thank you, Mr. Crosby, for defending my constitutional rights. The other two voted against. Are you sure, Mrs. Judd, you're going to vote Democrat again? Because this morning, once again, we've heard you align yourself with Ms. English. Voting centers are more likely to allow voter fraud than precinct centers where we know our neighbors. I've worked the polls for the last 4 presidential elections. Polling centers in precincts are much safer. We know our neighbors. Yes to paper ballots. Yes to counting those ballots before they leave their precinct and results are known in one day. No to the machines. No to the centers. And as to Mrs. Mara, those machines were brought in under her watch and they are hackable. And now she has a nice job with Mr. Fontes. Things that make us go, Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Nancy Olmstead. She's also on Teams. And if she's unmuted over there, then Nancy, you need to check and make sure you're unmuted at home. Okay, you're going back and forth, so pick one and speak up. And then pick the other and then speak up.
She's unmuted right now.
You're unmuted. Go ahead and... We're still not hearing you. I'm going to let you work on that and ask the other person. So if you could give us 3 more minutes here and we'll do the next person and then we'll come back to you and see if you've gotten that straightened out. So our next person is Sandy Troll. She's here with us.
Hello again, Sandy Truel from Sierra Vista. We do not consent to vote centers. We need to reestablish the designated 55 precinct polling places. That's what we had in the past. It's not too expensive, all these excuses. 2 of the Sierra Vista vote centers are mega vote centers. I don't even know what that means. Seems like that will disenfranchise voters who do not have the time to wait 1 to 2 hours to vote. Vote centers were not used successfully in the 2016, 2018, 2020, and 22 elections. There is increasing voter distrust of these systems that are connected to the internet and secret proprietary programming that we the people are not allowed to verify the results. This fact tells you everything you need to know. Why would hand counting be a problem? This makes no sense. Cochise County remains committed to not representing the people and caring about election interference and fraud. Mail-in voting also needs to be addressed before these upcoming elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Olmstead, we heard you. Go ahead and
Well, let me
speak.
try. Yes, let me try it again. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I am so sorry for the error on my end, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak again. So I am Nancy Olmstead. I live in Whetstone, and I thank you for this opportunity. Oh, yes, there's so much to speak about today, but only limited time, so I'll ditto what Kara Harris and others have said regarding the lithium mine in Wilcox, and there's more to follow. For today, I speak to oppose the voting centers for the 2024 elections rather to revert back to precinct votings as we previously used. I mean, this is just disgraceful. This issue was discussed and decided on September 12th, item 15. Yet here we are again because someone in the system is trying to slip this through in the last days of this year. I thought the process was about representing the will of the people. Instead, it appears if you're clever and have power, you can get things done with or despite the approval of the people. Specifically in paragraph 3 of the resolution, it refers, quote, increasing voter participation through convenience and accessibility of voting, unquote. Really? In the county jail tax election in May, only 33% voted when all they had to do was drop their ballot in the mail. Voting centers, or the convenience of voting, has absolutely no bearing on whether a voter chooses to exercise their right to vote. Rather, this convenience is simply to further electronic and machine voting systems. No doubt in the future, it'll be suggested for convenience, we should simply vote by phone. The approval of this resolution will be done without the approval of we the people. We are against our election process and electronic voting system because it's flawed. We are against our election process because there's no chain of custody, which will not be resolved by making it more convenient. We are against our election process because it disenfranchises voters. Thousands of voters in our district do not trust the current system, a system that is rigged against we the people in violation of our Constitution. We want no machines, one-day voting, paper ballots, precinct voting centers. Voting to approve voting centers when it was just disapproved is a violation of your oath to serve. Please fix our election process so every voter can have the confidence in our election process. Voting no again on this item is the first step. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Randall Limbach. We almost heard you.
Madam Chair, can you hear?
We hear you now.
Randall Limbach, Sierra Vista. I ask this board to again deny the establishment of vote centers for the 2024 elections and for those thereafter. By voting against vote centers on September 12th of this year, you already voted in favor of precinct voting. But in typical sneaky bureaucratic fashion, today's agenda was intentionally amended at the last minute to, in my opinion, illegally sneak in the vote center issue and deny public feedback. To vote again on a matter already voted on and recorded is, in my opinion, a criminal act. This sneaky act appears to have our county administrator's signature all over it, and like many other corrupt county administrators, in recent decades, unprincipled liberals and conservatives have unified to intentionally destroy the legitimacy of the electoral process. Voting centers, mass mail-in ballots, and election machines have, by design, decimated our right to votes that count. In recent elections, federal, state, and county officials and bureaucrats have been made aware of the inherent mechanisms designed to steal elections, thus stealing the sovereignty of each registered voter. Each of you, too, have been provided irrefutable evidence of these schemes. I ask each of you to not be dissuaded by our corrupted county and state officials, but rather to revalidate our elections processes, restore voting precincts, paper ballots, and same-day 100% hand counting, and eliminate all election machines. Honor your oath of office and restore the constitutional power strictly reserved for the electors by the Arizona Constitution, Article 4. I remind all elected officials that knowingly violating an oath of office carries heavy penalties. And one final thought, please do what is necessary to grade Mr. Kern's road. If you can collect millions of dollars for illegal projects, such as the jail district tax, you can spend a few thousand grading Mr. Kern's road. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is David William.
Hi, Sarah. This is Lieutenant Fenhouse's
someone needs to
mom.
mute
I just got an
themselves.
automated notification that Mackie
David,
was marked absent today, but I had called in
me.
yesterday to let you guys know that he'd be out yesterday and today.
You are
So I just wanted to confirm.
You're not muted. Okay, you're muted. David William Penrose, I believe you're here. Thank you, David.
David Penrose, Bisbee. Funny, I thought you said that everybody who signed up voted was speaking in support of the resolution. Sure doesn't sound like it.
No, I read who had signed in support, not the ones who were speaking, just signed in without speaking.
Okay, I miss, okay. I'm hearing a lot of the kettle calling the pot black out there. Forgive me. All this talk of voting by in person and paper ballots. How many of you people remember the 1960 election? I happen to be from Illinois. I know that both parties held back their results trying to help their possible ballot stuffing efforts. The Democrats happened to win that particular election. Thankfully, a great, though flawed American named Richard Nixon accepted the results, unlike the flawed leader of the current Republican Party. Anyway, and to remind the people, Katie, Lisa Mara's predecessor, was the person who started voting centers, and she had been your clerk of the board before she moved to become in charge of elections. So let's get your facts right, people. And I've observed two different voting centers. Well, three actually. One place they put me in the wrong seat so that everybody who had problems was coming up to talk to me. But that was when they were getting started. They've got their act together now at the centers. But yeah, they work. The previous system was also using the machine, and I remember when I worked the Golden Acres precinct, now estates, that after we got done, before we packed up, we called the results that the machine gave us to the election center. So I don't know when they did paper ballots, but they haven't done it in the 30 plus years I've lived in this county. Thank you. Please prove this. One other thing. Where are the machines going to support the new voting center coming from? Which voting center is getting robbed, if you will? Bye.
That's a good question in the discussion that we've had. And just so that you know, this is not called to the public. This is a public, like it's on an agenda. So I'm not sure if I can answer questions, can I? If it's on an agenda item? I'll ask Mr. That's what I'll do. Where are the machines coming from for the new vote center?
Madam Chair and members of the board, I'm Tim Maddox, Director of Elections and Special Districts. The new machines are coming from spares that we currently have in our possession.
Okay. All right. And then there are other voting centers that were struggling with access to machines, but that's not on the agenda, so I'm not going to ask you that question. So, with access to shorter lines and things, and I think that's something we're working on. So I am good with vote centers at this point, and I know that might make some people upset, but I think all of us as a whole need to think about our neighbors and our friends. And I see them as mostly being used by people in the immediate area. I don't see an argument that people that work an hour away from home need to vote somewhere else, because they can go to work early in the morning and they can go vote early in the morning, 6 a.m. I believe. You can start voting, and then they go to work. And if they went to work at 6 a.m., they're going to be off by 3, and they'll be home in plenty of time to vote in the evening. So I don't see that as the reason for voting centers, and I'm not trying to argue with people, but or the reason to not have voting centers and precinct voting. I would like to just thank you for doing that San Simon Vote Center, because initially when we approved them 2 years ago, I was quite certain that San Simon wasn't close enough to a vote center to be practical compared to McNeil and Elfrida and Bisbee, and everyone else had a vote center. There's 3 in the Benson area, close by for those people. And I needed that to happen, and I appreciate that. So anyway, I don't have any other comments or questions. Are there questions from my colleagues?
I have comments.
Okay, go ahead.
Quoting Mr. Daniel Wood, who this board has heard from before, all elections are to be held by the people, to include public hand counting of ballots. Nowhere is it indicated that any other method of elections is permitted by the people. Mr. Wood notes that there was never a vote by the people to approve the election machines or voting machines. So I do appreciate everyone's concerns for costs, and I understand that that voting centers are easier in many ways, but that's not where I recommend scrimping. Accuracy is the primary consideration, and the trust of the voters. I also have opined before and will again that in my opinion, HAVA, Help America Vote Act, is probably unconstitutional because of the 10th Amendment. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. And I hope that members of our legislature are listening today and understand that we do have issues. I will make sure that they know again. And I don't believe we're doing things illegally. I feel comfortable. I've been through it over and over with different people from both perspectives with the legality of having vote centers, and our state representatives have the job of making those laws and seeing that they're done. We are responsible for what we are responsible for. So I commented enough.
Sure.
I think that the public needs to understand that when votes are being counted, there's vision for you. You can go online and watch what's going on. Nothing is held back from you. It just isn't big enough for you to all walk into the room, but we have cameras available, and the cameras are on 24 hours a day. So we're doing everything possible to let you know that we're trustworthy, and we consider it a sacred oath to take your vote and make sure that it's accounted for in the way that it should be and the way that you voted. So how can I not be comfortable with something that I think is working? And anytime that there are problems, Ms. Judd mentioned a problem, well, there aren't enough machines at some places. Well, we can't program when you want to go vote. So if you decide that you all have to go vote between 4 and 6 in the afternoon, there isn't any vote center, I don't care if it was in the neighborhood, that would not make you stand in line. We can't staff and put machines there so that everyone has a 5-minute voting experience. So thank you.
Okay, Thank you. There's another way to have the people watching or voting, vote centers or precinct voting, where precinct committeemen who we elect as people in our own parties
They're the watchers.
can watch. They watch. That was mentioned in one of the speakers. So anyone can go that's a precinct committeeman can be a watcher. You sign up to do that. Well, you sign up to do it. You can't just walk in, but you can sign up and do that. So we do have our representatives from both parties at each polling location at any time, regardless of the kind. There are many ways to participate. So I wanted to bring that up as another. So being a watcher is another way to just participate as the public. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor for item number 14. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
The chair votes aye and the motion carries. Okay, we have item number 15, and that is Susan Hagel. If she could come up, and while she's doing that, we can have her motion.
Chair, I move that we approve Amendment 2 to Intergovernmental Agreement IGA CTR 059344, Senate Bill 1847, funding between the Arizona Department of Health Services and Cochise County Health Department and Social Services to increase the amount of the award to $91,500 annually for the period of July the 1st, 2023 through June 20th, 2027.
2027.
Second.
Did you get that little correction? All those in favor, well, we're not ready yet. We have a motion and a second. And go ahead, Susan.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Supervisors. Today, I request the approval of Amendment 2, the original IGA approved by Board on May 10th, 2022, as a fixed priced one-time payment of $91,500 to be used to address and reduce overdose death in Cochise County, Arizona. This amendment will add an additional $91,500 yearly until 2027. The funding source is the result of Senate Bill 1847. I request your approval today.
Thank you. And any questions on that item?
I think it also, just for the benefit of the public, you have a service of trying to document what is going on in the drug and overdose, and so that's also part of the funding, is to keep track of the people who do not survive and make that a part of the record.
Yeah, and I participate in an organization in Wilcoxon that does this sort of thing, and the police chief came to one meeting and he said you would be surprised how many overdoses they go out on calls for. It's very often. And so your job is big and probably not very rewarding. So we appreciate you. We certainly wouldn't deny you funding. So thank you. Well, I don't know yet. We haven't voted. Thank you. Is there anything, Mr. Crosby?
Not at this time. Thank you.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 The chair votes aye and the motion carries unanimously. So next is Mr. Karwachka, our county administrator, recent and pending county matters.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Supervisor English, Supervisor Crosby. As I think the audience has noticed, and also our board members, there is a new construction here in the boardroom, and I wanted to thank our facility staff and our IT staff for moving so quickly to put this together, and for the public to note why we're doing this. So there was a change in statute where public has to have access to all meeting areas 15 minutes before, where we used to have work sessions in our executive conference room would not hold the public here. So now we created this space where our work sessions going forward, most of our work sessions going forward, will be here in the hearing room at this conference table, and the public can sit in the audience and observe and have access to the area. So not only does it look amazing, our staff did it in such a short period of time, so we didn't have to move any of our regular board meetings. Also, as you can see, the new podium for public speakers no longer has a step to it. So there's no issues. People just walk forward and they are directly facing the board, which is also nice as they're supposed to be speaking to you. So once again, thank you to our facility staff and our IT staff. And we'll work on other issues as we go because I see the clicker didn't work. So we'll work through problems. So thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. All right. Supervisor Crosby.
No comments at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor English.
I don't know that we will have the public present before we have our Christmas break. So I just wanted to say Merry Christmas to all of you and hope that you have a safe and happy holiday.
I would never say ditto on something like that. So I wish you Merry Christmas as well. Thank you. That was my report. Concludes our meeting. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 in the Board of Supervisors hearing room. It will be a special Board of Supervisor meeting, and I will adjourn this meeting now. Thank you.